What if Machu Picchu isn't an Inca masterpiece, but a ruin the Inca themselves inherited? What if the oldest stones here are thousands of years older than history allows, and no one talks about it because the implications are destabilizing? The archaeological sanctuary of Machu Picchu stands suspended 2,430 meters above sea level, not merely as a royal estate, but as a historical anomaly. Officially, we're told it was built in the mid-15th century under the Inca emperor Pachacuti. But when you examine the stones themselves, a problem emerges. Beneath the well-documented Inca masonry lies an older construction layer, massive stonework that appears technologically disconnected from everything we know about 15th century Inca tools. Archaeologists acknowledge this lower layer exists. What they disagree on is who built it and when. The geological X-files and the terrestrial energy grid. These geological anomalies, when synthesized with the pervasive Andean myth of the Unu Pachacuti or the Great Water Overturning, suggest that the core citadel is actually a survivor of a high antiquity civilization devastated by a global cataclysm. The Inca were not the architects of the megaliths. They were the reverent inheritors who reoccupied a sacred site built by giants and destroyed by the gods. Machu Picchu is not randomly placed. Geological surveys show the site sits directly at the intersection of two major fault systems, one controlling uplift, the other controlling drainage. Together, they form an X-fracture zone beneath the city. Geological analysis has revealed that the sanctuary sits at the precise intersection of two major fault systems, a northeast-southwest fracture zone controlling uplift and a northwest-southeast system controlling drainage. This creates a literal X-fracture zone beneath the city, a geological feature that the original builders utilised not just for materials, but potentially for telluric energy manipulation. While mainstream archaeologists argue the fault simply provided loose stones, the perspective of the Hanan Pacha, or First World builders, suggests a far more advanced purpose. Mainstream archaeology argues these faults simply provided access to fractured stone. But across the ancient world, megalithic sites repeatedly appear on fault lines and aquifers. Whether symbolic or functional, ancient builders clearly recognized something important about these locations. At the highest point of this geological intersection stands the Intihuatana stone, carved directly from living bedrock. Even orthodox researchers agree it wasn't transported. It was shaped in place, with a level of precision that raises uncomfortable questions. The impossible masonry of the three distinct worlds. To make sense of Machu Picchu, we have to stop treating it as a single construction event. The masonry divides cleanly into three distinct phases, three technological worlds layered on top of each other. The deepest layer involves the direct reshaping of living bedrock, cliffs flattened, caves cut with geometric symmetry, surfaces so smooth they appear almost vitrified. No known Inca toolset explains this level of finish. Bronze chisels fracture granite, they don't polish it. Whatever method was used here, it doesn't survive in the historical record, rendering surfaces glassy and polished to a degree that defies the bronze chisels of the later Inca period. The Intihuatana and the Temple of the Moon feature these inexplicable characteristics, representing a time when the distinction between nature and artifice was completely erased by a technology we can no longer replicate. Above this layer sit the massive polygonal blocks Machu Picchu is famous for. Multi-ton stones, no mortar, precision joints engineered to survive earthquakes. Andean legends describe these builders as giants. Whether literal or symbolic, the scale of the work far exceeds what later cultures could reproduce. These cyclopean stones often weigh tons and are fitted with absolute precision without mortar, featuring pillowed or convex faces that interlock in 3 dimensions to provide seismic resistance. The logistical capability required to transport these monoliths and fit them so perfectly that they appear to be a single fused sheet of granite. This is the layer that orthodoxy struggles to explain. The layer where the physical evidence of advanced engineering is most undeniable. Scars of the deluge and vertical erosion anomalies. Between this megalithic phase and the Inca occupation, something catastrophic happened. Legends call it the Unu Pachacuti, a world-resetting flood. a gap in the record that corresponds with the Unu Pachacuti flood event. Legends state that the creator god Viracocha destroyed a race of unruly giants who had built the great stone cities, 7 washing them away in a massive flood that reshaped the world. This myth perfectly aligns with the archaeological reality of the site, where the megalithic foundations are often stripped bare, toppled, or show signs of violent displacement that the later Inca attempted to repair. The erratic positioning of multi-ton blocks, some found upside down or shattered in ways inconsistent with quarrying, points to a high-energy event that occurred after the megalithic construction, but long before the Inca restoration. The most compelling physical evidence for this deep antiquity is the erosion pattern found on the oldest stones. The oldest stones show deep vertical weathering, erosion consistent with centuries of heavy rainfall. But the Inca period occurred during a relatively dry climate window, just as the water erosion on the Great Sphinx dates it to a much wetter period. The granite of Machu Picchu exhibits weathering channels that fit the paleoclimatic conditions of the early Holocene, with Almigas Reminenti Dammi, roughly 8,000 to 5,000 BC. The Inca expansion occurred during a relatively drier climatic window, making it impossible for their structures to have accumulated such significant rainfall damage in barely a century of occupation. This paleoclimatic discrepancy is the smoking gun, placing the construction of the Hanan and Duran layers in the deep past alongside Göbekli Tepe and the ancient civilizations of the wet Sahara. Anomalies of heat, drilling, and lost physics. A persistent anomaly at Machu Picchu is the presence of vitrified stone, surfaces that appear to have been melted into a glass-like state by intense thermal exposure. While the Intihuatana stone shows distinct signs of vitrification, often attributed to lightning, the pattern appears on other ancient walls in the region, suggesting a systematic exposure to heat exceeding 1,100 degrees Celsius. This mirrors the vitrified forts of Iron Age Scotland. Some surfaces appear heat-altered, not burned but transformed. Similar effects appear at ancient sites across the world. No consensus explanation exists. The scoop marks found on Uran Pacha walls suggest the rock was in a plastic state during construction, contradicting the pounding and grinding explanation offered by traditional archaeologists. The site also harbours evidence of precision machining, specifically in the Temple of the Mortars, where circular depressions are ground into the granite with geometric perfection. While these are labelled as mortars for grinding corn, their precision suggests they may be the result of large-scale rotary machinery or even geopolymer casting moulds. This technology is further evidenced by the band of holes in the nearby Pisco Valley, a linear array of over 5,000 man-sized holes drilled into rock that baffles explanation. These aren't agricultural granaries. They are likely the remnants of a geological sampling grid or large-scale drilling operation, utilising the same lost physics found in the megalithic blocks. Pachacuti the Restorer and the star maps. Pachacuti's name means "he who shakes the world." But history may have misread his role, not as the original builder, but as the restorer of something already ancient. When Pachacuti conquered the Urubamba Valley in the 15th century, he likely encountered the overgrown ruins of the ancient citadel, strangled by vines and buried by time. Recognising the sacred geography and the alignments of the standing megaliths, he ordered the site cleared and restored, building his estate around the sacred cores of the Hanan and Uran structures. This explains why the finest structures like the Temple of the Three Windows appear geologically oldest, while the residential sectors built by the Inca use standard, inferior masonry. The astronomical alignments of the site point to a design date far deeper than the Inca epoch, specifically regarding the Torreon, or Temple of the Sun. The window aligns with the June solstice sunrise and the rising of the Pleiades. But due to the precession of the equinoxes, this alignment is imprecise for the year 1450 AD. The alignment becomes significantly more precise, mirroring the Orion correlation theory found in Egypt. The Inca revered the Pleiades as the storehouse of the stars, and it is likely they reconsecrated an ancient observatory that had been built to mark the great year of the precessional cycle millennia before their empire existed. Between the fall of the megalithic giants and the rise of the Inca, there lies a gap known as the Quilque Interregnum. Excavations have revealed Quilque ceramics and simpler structures at the site, proving that different cultures occupied these ruins in the centuries between the cataclysm and the Inca restoration. The Quilque, like the Inca after them, lived amongst the ruins of the Uran Pacha, utilising the terraces but lacking the technology to replicate the megalithic architecture. This confirms the catastrophic discontinuity model. What do you think about Machu Picchu?